We have just rang the bell. Now we need to leave Blighttown. There are 3 paths we could choose. We could go past the bell to an area filled with lava and ruins, but we would just find a dead end because we're not supposed to go here yet. We'll get to it later, I assure you. We could also go back the way we came, but that's a bad idea. It's even worse to climb that thing than it is to come down. So instead, we'll take a big paddle wheel-like elevator up to a series of ladders to bring us back to roughly the Firelink Shrine. This way is almost as dangerous as going back the way you came, but it is considerably shorter, so there's that. Be careful not to fall. Back at Firelink Shrine, you'll notice there's something new here. A serpent that looks strangely like Gary Busey. He tells you need to go through Sin's Fortress to get to Anorlando to find something called the Lordvessel. Getting to Sin's Fortress is pretty easy. Just go to the Undead Parish, go to where the stereotypical blacksmith was, and there is Sin's Fortress. It's right there. This is where the game is going to get hard. It is no accident that this place is NES backwards. This place has floor traps, an infinite number of boulders being thrown at you, narrow walkways with pendulums swinging at you, snake men, a giant throwing explosives at you, and some of the snake men throw lightning at you. This place requires a lot of very good timing and no small amount of luck. There are 2 NPCs here to find. Toward the end of this place is a depressed merchant that sells heavy armor. The other is a magic merchant with the most original name ever. His name is Big Hat Logan, because his name is Logan, and he has a big hat. He has your high-end, high-damage sorceries for sale. Of course, there is a boss to deal with now. It is the Iron Golem. It is huge and heavy, and you would think it would just crash through the roof of this brick-and-mortar structure, but that never comes up. One wonders how many rabbis it took to make this golem. There is a summon you can use for this fight. He's in heavy armor, and you never saw him before this point, and you will never hear him referenced after this point. Once the Iron Golem stops moving, you now have access to Anorlando. And by access to, I mean you can be carried there by some weird bird, bat, man things. Now we are in Anorlando, the city and mostly former home of the gods, as most of them seem to have left. This place is huge, bright, and clean. The only place you'll find in this game that seems clean. The first thing you need to do in this area is get across a bridge. The bridge, however, is not in the right position, so you're going to have to climb along some scaffolding, go into a building filled with men in white hoods, and reposition the bridge. Now there is a building in front of you. It's the building you need to get inside to get that Lordvessel. However, the front door is locked, so you're going to have to climb along the outside of the building, along the ledge, while snipers are firing at you, to go in through a side window. Climbing along that ledge with the snipers is seriously the worst part of this entire game. Once inside, you'll find that our friend the Sun Worshipper has somehow beaten us inside. You'll also find another guy who needs some help killing some knights inside. There are many knights inside this building, by the way. They look intimidating, but they really aren't that hard. If you help that guy, he gives you a ring for your trouble. Not a very good ring, but it's something. There is also a blacksmith here. He is a giant that doesn't say much, that for some reason makes regular-sized equipment. He can also make weapons out of the various boss souls in this game. As you probably guessed, before you can get the Lordvessel, there's a boss fight. You may have also guessed that you can summon the Sun Worshipper for this fight, and that's something you probably want to do, because this is not just a boss fight, but a double boss fight. You fight 2 guys at the same time, and when one of them dies, the other one absorbs the dead one and becomes stronger. One of them is small, has a spear, jumps around a lot, and throws lightning. The other is a huge fat bastard with a hammer. If you kill the fat bastard first, the little guy with the spear eats a Mario mushroom and becomes giant. If you kill the little one first, the fat bastard gets lightning added to all his attacks. Personally, I go for killing the smaller one first. Past these two is what you were looking for, the Lordvessel. The Lordvessel is given to you by a giantess claiming to be a goddess, and who claims you will be given godhood if you do what she wants. This claim is more than a little dubious. But the important part is you now have the Lordvessel, and it allows you to do a couple of interesting things. In addition to being a giant bowl, it also allows you to warp around the world, to certain points anyway. And when you take it back to the Gary Busey serpent, he will explain what you need to do next. What he explains is that you need to fill this bowl with very powerful souls. Those souls come from 4 particular bosses: a giant skeleton wearing other smaller skeletons, some corrupt royalty, an experiment gone horribly wrong, and an albino dragon in a library. Here's where we stop for today. Next time, we'll talk about killing at least 2 of these bosses, and of course the areas leading up to them. Maybe more.